here trying to figure out where we left off on this thing. It's only been 5 months. Projects tend to move a little slow around here. But yeah, best I can remember in the last video, I think we ended with the headers, the new headers that are not here. They're actually at Calico getting ceramic coated. Hopefully those will be back this week or soon or something. There was a list around here somewhere of what to do. Hey, hand me that list. What's left? If I had a Sharpie, we could mark stuff off, because you can actually mark off the drive shaft, because if I'm not mistaken, it's got a new drive shaft in it. Let's see. Rear end, that's pretty much taken care of. Replace the axle. Plug wires, we'll probably mark those off because those new headers will actually allow for a GM plug wire instead of those stainless ones that needed who knows what kind of plug wire. Let's see, wiring for the fans, plumb the transcooler. Pretty sure the transcooler's here. Yeah, it's back there. I'm going to run this harness. We had looked into changing another harness. A buddy of mine had a PSI harness for a real good deal, but it didn't help us. It was all outside, or it was, I don't know. Either way, there was no help and there was no point in spending the money. We'll just make this one work. I'm going to try to do what I did on my dually. It looks like it might work. I'm going to try to move the battery to the driver's side. And what I'll do is, there's so many LS harnesses around here, we'll just take the whole battery cable assembly from one of those harnesses and then plumb it in just like it would be on the 5.3 LS 6 liter, whatever, you know what I'm saying, the LS family. Probably going to have to tie in, well, I don't really know what. Yeah, that won't be a problem, because all your accessory or whatever, most of that stuff comes off the positive stud on the starter anyway. So as long as this tray is remotely close, there's already two nut certs or whatever you're going to call it in that fender well, and this battery tray, I don't know if you can see it, has two holes that might line up. So, and then that way we'll put the computer over here, because that's where it wants to lay. Throttle pedals there. Still have to do the steering shaft. Need to get Joe, I need a coolant temp sensor. Did we finish the fuel lines? Let me look. Also need to get an EGR block off. Did we finish the fuel lines? I don't think we did. Where are they at? There's one fitting. Alright, we'll figure that out. But for right now, let's see if this battery will swap over. And I'll get the GoPro and give you more of an idea of what I'm talking about here. This car will actually be on Power Tour, I know, at least one day. I believe Joe is going to go with us on day 3, which will be Columbia to Rockingham, but we're going to jump in somewhere along the way. That's the plan anyway. This antique battery out of here. Let's pray that these rusty old bolts come out. do a little bit on this one, and then probably jump over and do an Impala video, or start an Impala video. Work on both at the same time. All kinds of bolts in there. Well, let me dump this out. Be right back. All right, we're gonna be lucky.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
All right, let's just see how close this battery tray, which I swear it looks like it'll really work. Yep. Look at that. This hole lines up close enough to, you can see that light coming through. And then that is a bolt head. And then you got these two right here that line up. Not so much of those, but I feel like 4 will hold it. So what we'll do is just move the battery over. We'll use the OEM battery cables. I mean, we got to go to the alternator anyway. It's right here on the driver's side now. So we'll just come off of that, use the ground wire, everything, run it underneath, run along the oil pan, over to the starter. Bam, problem solved. So what I may do is go out here on death row and swipe a computer bracket from one of these trucks and figure out a clean way to mount it right there. There's several other, I think it's the P-Van, like the food truck. It has a real nice clean bracket. There's several other factory brackets. I'm pretty sure I have a link saved to that, but we're going to try to make do with what we have. So let me get this. I'm actually going to clean this battery tray up, and before I mount it in there, I really don't want to put the rusty tray in there. It's out, might as well clean it, fix it up. So I'm going to do that right quick, and I might go scavenge some battery cables, so hang in there. All right, we made some progress. I don't like this, but we can also, the reason I don't like it, the computer mount is right here, so get this big bundle of wires running under the puke tank. There is a small channel in the fender well, but it's just kind of fat right here, so it kind of leans up on it. I could probably thin out this junction right here that's all taped up and pull some of this back, and it may set down, which I'll probably do that anyway, because it really, I don't really see the point in it. You can, and then you just retape it after you pull. I wish you could see this. I'll probably let me get the GoPro. We'll just thin out this fat area right here that's got this bundle going. There's a ground, and then you got your red and blue plug. Got some other trigger wires, and then there is, let's see, that's probably, I think that's ignition. There is the OBD2 plug. It's going in the car. That's just, 4 wires, and it needs to be in the car because I believe he's going to run some sort of like scan gauge thing, or I don't know what it is. It's a self-contained screen. We may have showed it on the first video. Probably cut those out and then get that thinned enough to where this will set back down and I can put a bolt back through this. little ear here. It's got 2 on it right here. This one actually didn't have a hole in it, so I drilled it and then put one of those, I think it's called a speed nut clip or whatever. I've got a plethora of those little metric things, so put that on there. All right, pretty good example of recycle and reuse. Now I would like to find a small 90-degree bracket to put on this computer mount as well, but this is a truck mount. Existing bolt hole from the battery box right here. Just knocked a hole in that. I sawed the original mount off the bottom, and then it'd be nice to have from this little hole here to the box with like a 90-degree something, just to keep it, you know, from bouncing around or whatever. And this battery box, I mean, it's almost like this thing bolted right in. No modifications whatsoever. It mirrored the driver, it mirrored the passenger side just like this. Probably should have painted the bolts, but stick the battery here. And I went out to Death Row, picked up, well, not this one, that's something I had laying in here. We got the ground cable and the entire positive and the starter I didn't know I had. Just reuse everything we can. I'm pretty sure this is a Cherokee shaft. I think it's an XJ shaft. We'll have to cut it down, which isn't a big deal. It's just kind of staked right here. I'll drill those out. And we'll cut the double D, the male shaft down, and then slip it up in there and get it to the length we need. Get that in. That'll be a big thing to get finished up. It's not a big thing, but an important small item. There we go. That sounds better. Get that finished up. What else? I'd like to do the trans cooler. Trans cooler, fuel lines. Trans cooler, fuel lines. What else? And honestly, we probably need a few doodads. Like we need that EGR plug for the intake manifold, coolant temp sensor, and the headers. I don't know if those little short collectors have bungs in them or not. It would be nice if they did, that we could fire it with working O2 sensors. But I'm gonna go eat lunch, and then when I come back, I'm going to knock out the steering shaft, and we'll look at doing the fuel lines and the trans cooler, or vice versa. So, fat guys gotta eat, so hang in there. All right, let me show you what we got going on with this steering shaft here. The battery cable's maybe in the way, but there's possibly enough room for me to kind of route them down and around, but I'll show you what we got here. All right, so I drilled out the little stakes or spot welds or whatever it was, and it just simply slipped right apart. So you can see this ends up on the steering column, that ends down on the box. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come back probably a 1/4 inch past this spot, and then the same way with where I drilled through the female double D shaft, and we'll cut them off. That way there's still got room to slip when and if, hopefully, there's never a situation where that steering shaft has to collapse. So I'll pull these back off, mark them. I don't know if I cut them through the bandsaw or maybe the Sawzall. I don't know. That bandsaw thing I got doesn't cut straight, unfortunately, so probably should just ran them to work, since I was almost there a while ago anyway. But let's get these things cut. All right, I got a little more done. Let's see. Got the battery in. I don't really like how the ground is. I got enough room to unbolt from the block down there and get it rerouted. Let's see. What else? The bracket that this thing mounts on, it really wouldn't work. You'd have to bend it and drill it and everything else. So just put an insulated clamp there. Probably just put the cap back on it. I'm sure I'll use this connection for some sort of 12-volt supply, but I'll probably just drill a couple holes in the inner fender well and do a, you know, zip tie job. This is kind of where I hate building cars for anybody else, because, you know, I'm always afraid, like, I'm gonna think, what in the hell? Why'd he do that? You know, that's what I always worry about. Especially in, I mean, I could always blow Joe's phone up and ask him 9,000 questions every time I go to do something, but, you know, hopefully everything's done the way they would want it done. I got this situated. I couldn't take it anymore. I couldn't take the lopsided. Pulled these back through, retaped the harness. Got that thing mounted on 3 places. It was only in 2. This one was broke off. Starter is wired. I need to go to O'Reilly's here in a minute and pick up the coolant temp sensor. He ordered the EGR plug a while ago. It's going to be delivered here. I'm not sure how long it's been since this car had the buzzer go off when you open the door, but I'm just going to bump the key. It actually spins over. So, a little progress there. Clearly the starter is on. I gotta pull this grill apart so I can mount the transcooler. Was going to use the tank transcooler and an external transcooler, but I don't know what kind of Chinesium deep, you know, metric-ish standard inverted negative flared fitting this takes, but this radiator did not come with them, and I can't figure it out because no fittings I have fit that, so I don't really know what the heck's going on. So probably just mount, I think he got a pretty good size Hayden cooler. Yeah, let's check this out. This is Hayden part number 679. It is a, if you look right there in the bottom, the 679 is a push-on fitting style cooler rated to 10,000 pounds. So definitely should not have a problem keeping that 60E cool with this. And it looks like in this grill, plenty of room to put it. Get a lot of good airflow across it. I will not be using these push-through leak makers. I will mount this thing rigid in one way or another. I don't care what I gotta do. I'll say that now and it'll probably bite me. So, but it looks like there's gotta be a way to do it off the top of that radiator support or something. I don't know. We just have to get the grill out. And hopefully I do not have to use those. I don't like them. And I guess if it goes through just the condenser, it's better than going through the radiator. Condenser usually seems a little beefier. I guess because it's out front, you know. Stuff hits it. Still got a lot left. Got some wiring left. Need to do some sorting on this wiring. Hopefully the headers show up this week. I know we're going to have to fix one of these plug wires because it just all of a sudden split. I don't understand why. What else? Trans plumbing, fuel plumbing. Get some coolant in it, bleed the system. It's not too far from being able to start it. Oh, I gotta flash the PCM. I'm gonna give it a shot at tuning it. Ain't the greatest at that, but takes me a while. That was my elbow. I gotta flash the PCM. Not super great at doing the tune, but I could probably get it close enough, or may just go through PCM of NC over in Mooresville and just have them do an email tune. I've done that way before and it's worked pretty good. At least it gives you something to build on and whatnot. You just send a log.
send a driving log back to them, and they'll review it and make changes and whatnot. But anyway, trying to figure out what's left or what I've not covered. I guess we'll just stop it off right there, and we'll jump back into it with some plumbing and wiring to maybe tomorrow. I've got to work on something else here this evening, or start working on something else. But we'll get back to it as soon as we can. Well, I was gonna stop working on it. The parts I had for the other job were wrong parts, so I decided to jump in here and install the transcooler. I had some 1-inch flat bar aluminum, like an 1/8 thick. It is not the sturdiest stuff, but I mean it should be okay. I got it bolted in here, and then hopefully you can see down there. I don't know if we can see anything right there, but then I guess it'll come down with the cooler lines and maybe go under the radiator support, because I wanted to move it up higher, but in this whole section right here I can't get a drill in there, so I was just working with what holes was already in the radiator support, and then I put these two in because clearly you can get a drill there. But it's got pretty decent surface area there, and then this little air dam here, it should shoot air up in there. Hopefully that'll keep it cool. But I guess I'm gonna call it done for this video. Close up, get this thing edited, and try to get it posted this evening, maybe. But got a little bit accomplished in one day, not even a whole day, but you know, we're getting there. Just trying to think what else is left, or what else I could do this evening. Probably put the grill back in. That ain't no big deal there, but I guess that'll do it. Thanks for watching Left 4 Dead Garage, and we'll see you back on the El Camino here soon.